How did a $47 billion giant crash into total bankruptcy overnight? At its peak, WeWork was valued at $47 billion. It was the darling of Silicon Valley, a company that promised to revolutionize how the entire world worked. Just 4 years later, it filed for bankruptcy. How does a company burn through that much cash and lose its status so spectacularly? It wasn't just bad luck or a pandemic, it was a masterclass in hubris, reckless spending, and a business model that was fundamentally broken from day one. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the WeWork miracle was actually a slow-motion car crash, and how they managed to fool some of the smartest investors on the planet. To understand the fall, we have to look at the rise. Adam Neumann and Miguel McKelvey founded WeWork in 2010. Their pitch was simple. They weren't just renting desks, they were selling a community. They were selling a lifestyle. Neumann was a master salesman. He didn't just talk about real estate, he talked about elevating the world's consciousness. He convinced investors like SoftBank that WeWork was a tech company, not a real estate company. This distinction was crucial. Tech companies get massive valuations based on growth, real estate companies get valued on profits. WeWork wanted the tech multiple, and for a while, they got it. Once the money started flowing, the growth became an addiction. WeWork was signing long-term leases on expensive office buildings and renting them out on short-term contracts. On paper, it sounded like a genius arbitrage play. But here is where the math fell apart. When the economy dipped, companies stopped paying for flexible desks. But WeWork was still on the hook for those massive, decade-long leases. They were essentially a middleman with no safety net. They were losing money on every single seat they rented, but their strategy was to grow their way out of it. It's the classic startup trap. If we just get big enough, the economics will eventually make sense. Spoiler alert, they didn't. We can't talk about WeWork without talking about Adam Neumann. The culture inside the company was less like a business and more like a cult. There were mandatory tequila-fueled parties, bizarre spiritual retreats, and a CEO who famously walked around barefoot. It wasn't just eccentric, it was dangerous. Neumann was essentially using the company as his personal piggy bank. He was selling his own trademarks to the company, taking massive loans, and exerting total control over the board. When the company tried to go public in 2019, the S-1 filing finally pulled back the curtain. Investors saw the massive losses, the erratic leadership, and the total lack of corporate governance. The valuation plummeted from $47 billion to almost nothing in a matter of weeks. After the failed IPO, SoftBank had to step in with a massive bailout just to keep the lights on. They ousted Neumann, brought in professional management, and tried to right the ship. But the damage was done. And then, 2020 hit. When the world moved to remote work, the demand for WeWork's physical footprint evaporated overnight. They were bleeding cash, trying to renegotiate thousands of leases, and fighting to survive in a world that no longer needed their product. The bankruptcy in 2023 was the inevitable conclusion to a story that started with a lie about what the company actually was. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this: growth at all costs is not a business strategy. It's a gamble. WeWork proved that you can have all the charisma and capital in the world, but if the unit economics don't work, eventually, the reality will catch up to you. What do you think was the single biggest red flag? Was it the leadership, or was the business model doomed from the start? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the biggest business stories of our time. See you in the next one.